Okay, so you're enjoying the retreat?
Yeah, we had a delightful afternoon with lot of stories, Marty sir. Lot
Lovely.
of stories.
Yeah,
Very amazing afternoon we had.
thank you. Wonderful. Can someone tell us a little about the retreat by the time the class warms up and we understand what you guys are up to? Happy to get an update about the retreat if someone volunteers. Okay, I'll share the excitement. Just give me a moment.
Come, you're the boss. Give the update. What why? Aja. आ जाओ. Take in this mic, please. हाँ.
Sir, we go to Arthur Food Academy.
Lovely. Okay, hang on. I'll do a quick interview with you. Just give me a moment. It's still 1 minute. Just stay on. I don't want to lose your voice. Just give me a minute. Let me get everyone in. It's a minute more, and you'll have lots of people to listen to you.
Okay, sir.
But don't go away. Hold the mic. Don't shake it. You'll lose the sound. Hold the mic. Hold the mic. It's very difficult to connect with you. Just hold the mic. Don't leave it. I've got you now.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Please tell him he's working very hard.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to what we call the Saturday Masterclass. The masterclass this time on Saturday is indeed very, very special. We are currently hosting what we call the My Good School Retreat. And the retreat is happening at a very interesting place. There's a small school on the edge of the Rajaji Sanctuary, a little school with 130 children, pitter patter. They sang some lovely rhymes this morning, jumped around with a guitar with Jatin Soni sir, who has dashed down from his school, leaving Gyanshri children waiting for him. There's Manisha there, Jugjeev there, Avinash there, and whole lot of wonderful people. I can't name so many people because there were 50 people there. But in the first row, you can see some front benchers, not back benchers. Today we have front benchers. We have Avinash, we have Jugjeev, and yes, we have a very special person whom I'll talk to. Along with him, you can see Sir Banu ma'am. You can see other people at the retreat. Thank you so much. Okay, my question to you: what did you do yesterday in the retreat? How was your day one?
Sir, yesterday retreat, first we have tasked to found the Arthur Food Academy. And we found it and go in school and see the school. And then we come and then we have a lunch and the sports time. And then today, first we go to Arthur Food Academy.
Okay, hang on. Don't go to day two. I have limited time. I have to do this interview in 1 minute. So on day one, you found yourself or you found the Arthur Food Academy? What did you find?
Sir, Arthur Food Academy.
Okay, I thought you found yourself. Good. So on day two, when you went back to the Arthur Food Academy, give us one most exciting thing you saw there.
We are not teaching, but we are guiding the student what they want to learn, like dance activities and studies like Hindi, math.
Brilliant. Thank you for the joy of giving. And I'm glad you are appreciating what joy of learning means. You may please sit down and let me tell all the viewers who are online. On the screen, you will see a label Manisha Khanna. So Manisha Khanna is on the ground. She is the host. She is my panelist. So Manisha, we love you for all you do. God bless you. Kunal, why can't you stand up? We want to see you. You are the tallest man on earth out there. Just stand up. Let's give a big hand to Kunal, because I think Kunal really deserves a big hand in making this retreat a big success. Okay, let's get on to some productive failure before we all declare failures and we don't manage what we have set out to do today. So today, what I thought, we will first share with you one or two things. First and foremost, let me share one thing. Today, when I was there at the retreat a little while back, I said only one thing. The future of learning is right here with the schools of the future. The schools of the future are the schools who are participating in this massive Joy of Learning program put together by all of us with love and soul. So what is the future of learning? Future of learning is when you don't need anyone to give you content, you can find it. Now, why do you need your teacher? Isn't it a paradox? This is productive failure. You don't need a teacher. And this is what we'll try and figure out. How productive failure and how the work of Dr. Mannu Kapoor, over 10 years is going to change the way we look at education. So that is what we are talking about. So let's quickly hop on to the book, why we are here. So today we unfold chapters of Dr. Mannu Kapoor's book, and it's a section for introduction essentially. We don't have to read the book today because I'm sure not many teachers have got the book as yet. Sorry for being not full of optimism on that point, because for all of us, books are never top of the shopping list. Top of shopping list will be your pizzas, your burgers, followed by clothes, followed by going out on holiday, followed by excursion. I'm not sure if books would come anywhere in the top 10 items you buy in the list. Well, for me, it's that all the top 10 items. And this week we unfurl productive failure. So, and let me tell you, I'm sure it's a failure of the system that we all don't buy and read so many books today. That itself is a lesson in productive failure. Books which teach us everything, let's respect them. They are the biggest gift of mankind in the last 200 years. They're only 200 years old when the word first came, when the paper books first came. And today they're as relevant as they were 200 years back. Have a quick look at the cover of the book. The cover of the book is a giveaway. It actually explains the entire story. And this is called art. Some of you were with us in a session on Thursday, which we happily call MAP. M stands for music, A stands for art, and P for poetry. Now, on this art session, which we had on Thursday, the Thoughtful Thursday, which not many perhaps from here were present at, I suggest you find time to attend Thoughtful Thursday sessions. They're at 5:30 p.m., where Mr. Ghosh only left one message. A lawyer is an artist. A doctor is an artist. A teacher is one of the most wonderful artists in the world. Think about it. So here we are on productive failure. Let's see what people say about this book. We will flip. Give it a big hand as we unfold the first book, Productive Failure. We have seen the cover. Let's browse around a little. So if you look at the contents of the book, it forays into failure where Dr. Mannu Kapoor gives examples of his own personal life, of his child's life, of his academia, and he connects the dot with how he feels that failure is the best form of learning. If you look across the world, no innovation or invention would have happened if the discoverer or the inventor had not failed. And that's the beauty of productive failure. Then in one part of the book, we look at the problems and solutions, the problem of learning, problem of productive failure. Yes, the simplest thing about the book. How does productive failure happen? First, there is activation. Activation, you press a button, you sow a seed. Then there's awareness. Then there is effect. Because when awareness comes, there will be some form of effect. And finally, assembly. So in the assembly part, you will see how we assemble the blocks of learning. And then he goes on to give us brilliant examples of designing productive failure. So that's the whole story. I don't want to flip the whole chapter by chapter content because that will take the whole session. But I suggest at least every school get a few copies of the book, maybe one or two in the library. I promise you loudly, this will change the way you learn in your school. I have read this book 2 times. Last week, I shared a TED talk. I'm not sure many saw it, but in case someone has seen it and someone can talk about the TED talk, I'll be happy to get you onto the panel. So if someone's seen that TED talk and you can summarize that TED talk for me, all my love for you. Anyone? Anyone can put your hand up? Okay, I have a lovely hand up here. Oh boy, boy. A very solid person is walking into the panel. Give her a big hand. Can anyone guess who joins us? None other than the host of Thoughtful Thursday, one and only one, Brinda Ghosh. So
Thank
Brinda
you, Sandeep.
joining us. Brinda, are you on the dentist table or on the dentist chair?
I'm waiting to get onto the dentist chair, so I thought I'll make use of this time.
Okay,
So,
so tell us about the TED talk which you saw, and I'm so happy
so
at least you saw it.
I've seen the TED talk more than once because, as you just mentioned, that it's a good idea for schools to get hold of copies and start reading the book. We, as a community of teachers, have started reading the book, and before I read the book, I showed the TED talk to the entire staff community in our school, and we discussed the TED talk. So the TED talk is extremely interesting. Dr. Manu Kapoor is like an entertainer when he talks about failure, and he takes us through a journey of his own life where he's talking about the things that he failed at and how he finally arrived at the conclusion that failure indeed can be productive. So he starts with examples of having failed in his dream of being a footballer and then dabbling with other professions and then finally trying to become a teacher of math and then going into research, and suddenly with a lot of years and years of work put in at some of the best universities in the world, he finally came to this conclusion that whatever he failed at, if that is used creatively, if that is used thoughtfully, it can be a great, great step towards progress and towards productive work. So he has now developed that into a beautiful science and has talked about how this whole method can be used in the classroom to aid what he terms beautifully in one of his first few chapters in the book called Discovery Learning. So that's what the TED Talk is about. The TED Talk kind of differentiates between direct teaching and discovery learning. So there you are.
Thank you, Brinda, for what you told us about the book. And I know Parde ki piche Brinda hai, so you can. I asked everyone and told them, in fact, loudly that you are at the dentist.
I think Mrs. Kapoor is trying to join the group. She's finding it a challenge to register and join. So she's put up a message in the WhatsApp thing that she's unable to join. So, her son's book, she'll also be able to tell us a lot about the book.
We'll get her to do a conversation with us.
Yeah.
But if she clicks the the link which is open to all, there's no need to register anymore also.
Right.
It's as easy as that. Perhaps you can help her with the link as we'll move on because we have very
Yes, please do that. Please do that.
Thank you so much, Brinda. Bless you, and may
You're most welcome.
May your treatment be a success. May you not suffer the pain on the doctor's chair because you're such a kind-hearted teacher.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So let's go back to the productive failure. So there are some thoughts behind global leaders who have talked about productive failure. And I thought I would actually take the courage of reading some of the finest thoughts people have given. John Hattie. John Hattie, if you ask me, in 100 years, we've had no one like John Hattie in terms of research, in terms of writing. And John Hattie has written a wonderful book. The book is Visible Learning. You know, John's research, if you can get hold of it, you will understand what really learning is. So, John has studied and researched on the science of learning. He reveals teaching's holy grail. That's what the book is all about. Hopefully, we'll get to this book also one day. So, that's the quote I'm going to start the conversation with. I'm sure you can see my screen loud and clear. Loud because I'm shouting, and clear because you can see it on the screen. If you can hear me and see what is on the screen, please send us a balloon, a thumbs up, something to let us know that our screen is loud and clear. Wonderful. Thank you. This book reveals the transformative power of productive failure through compelling narratives, insightful research, and practical strategies. Manu Kapoor shows how embracing failure is a critical tool for progress, innovation, resilience, and triumph. Look at this. As a teacher, your heartbeat will go up. Progress, innovation, resilience, and triumph. Let's see what Sue Cunningham says. I highlighted this and I shared this some time back. At a time when there is concern regarding the quality of outcomes in education, fresh approaches to learning and teaching are much needed. Productive failure brings new and applicable thinking to values first espoused by Socrates, relating to the importance of failure in our learning journeys. Manu Kapoor's timely research, detailed in this captivating book, encourages us to design for failure. To start with, the problem rather than being fed the solution. It is affirming to all of us who have experienced failure and have thereby grown stronger. I must say, it's the first time when I actually read all the introductory pages of a book. All of us jump into chapter 1 and never do justice to the prologue of the book. And I thought this time around that itself is productive failure. An accessible mix of science and practice, Manu Kapoor's carefully crafted argument about the value of productive failure is relevant in two important ways. Mark, please make notes. If you can take a screen grab, please do that. If you want to make a voice note, I'm sure you're on mute. You can make a voice note on WhatsApp. You can talk to Siri. You can talk to your Google Assistant and record what we say. First and foremost, it concretizes a fundamental human truth. Deep learning and meaning making require engaged struggle with the issue at hand. A struggle that is immensely enriched by embracing failure and beyond its universal education implications. The book is also of special relevance today when, in all fields, the promise of generative AI could easily lure us into thinking that we now have tools to skip the struggling phase. Fantastic words written by Wagner Trainer, a social learning theorist. Perhaps you have not found this designation even before. Social learning theorist. It's a truism these days that you have to fail to succeed. To learn from failure, we need a wise guide like Dr. Manu Kapoor, who shows us that failure is the secret recipe of success. With this great guidance, Dr. Kapoor demonstrates how to fail productively in ways that move you forward instead of setting you back. Grounded in solid research and filled with practical advice, Productive Failure is a pleasure to read. I bow down to you, sir. And let me tell you, having read the book twice, I'm going to read it third time with you. It's indeed a pleasure. It's a thriller. Unlocking Deeper Learning Through the Science of Failing. Thank you, Josie Bass, a Wiley brand that published this book. A little bit about the copyright page. Why I'm pausing at the copyright page, all of us make screenshots. All of us make PDFs. Let me tell you, that is the most dishonest thing and the first dishonest thing a teacher does. If a teacher is dishonest, the teacher has no right to tell a student to be honest. Look what I said. If a teacher is dishonest, a teacher has no right to tell a student to be honest. And honoring copyright is your first call of duty. Never, ever, ever download a PDF without buying it. Please, your small respect by a token sum does wonderful justice to years and years of research an author puts in to produce one book. And for some of us authors, these small amounts of $50, $100, $10 which come to us are perhaps the greatest joys we get. So if you read this page, always read the copyright page and see where you can get permission. And the beautiful part is, if you want to share something and when you write for permission, you get it 99% of the times. That way you've been honest and you have shared everything very honestly. So your productive failure, copying and sharing. We have some beautiful names here. Thank you, Dr. Manu Kapoor, who will join us. He has promised to come one of the master classes. The year was 2005. My talk was over. The conference theater was almost empty. I wanted tea, but a pesky PhD student stopped me. He was eager to show me some data, so I obliged. And then we sat and looked at his data for a while. Education is rich in human values, but the sciences of learning are built on data. Education is rich in human values, but the sciences of learning are built on data. I forgot his name, but few years later, I was setting up the program of a European conference when I read an intriguing paper. It was about learning in teams. The approach was exactly opposite to my work, but the counterintuitive results were demonstrated with an unimpeccable rigor. You'll notice something, that we use this word rigor, R-I-G-O-R, and you may write R-I-G-O-U-R. Today, as we have reached a stage where UK English, British English, Indian English all adds up to our vocabulary. So a lot of these words which you'll see in most of our literature and books today don't really differentiate. What comes to the mind first, the easiest spelling is used. So with that, you'll find a lot of American language used in this book. And some words may be of British language. So don't worry about these things because they are both acceptable. And that is a part of our productive failure. I invited the author to give the keynote, and he seduced the audience by the elegance of his proof. That was Manu Kapoor, and it was his first keynote ever on productive failure. You will enjoy the same relentless logic while reading his book. The research findings interlock with each other, page after page, as the wheels of a Swiss watch. It is what it takes to demonstrate that a learning activity that has all the hallmarks of failure ends up producing better outcomes. How people learn is a complex science. Learners and teachers are neither cells in a tube nor photons in vacuum. Pupils for instance, are not the same on a rainy day or when the first snow whitens the landscape, lighting up the pupil's eyes. Instead of tackling this complexity, some books depict learning and teaching in very general terms. Not this one. It clearly establishes evidence that trying to solve a problem before being told how to do so, sorry, how to do so leads to better learning outcomes, despite the failure to solve the initial problem. Or more precisely, because of it. Some education experts try to sell a miracle method supposed to revolutionize education. Not this book. There is no miracle in education. This is the hard reality today. A lot of us are getting into this trap of finding solutions that education will get revolutionized. Well, in 20,000 years, there's been no revolution but the experience of joy of learning. But the relationship between the taught and the taughted, the relationship between the guru and the shishya, that relationship is the miracle. Instead, the magic of productive failure is demystified chapter by chapter. At the core lies the intensity of cognitive engagement. No matter what the gurus of cognitive load claim, building knowledge is demanding. Learning is not a quiet river. Some difficulty is desirable. The findings of this book are not only about cognition, but also about emotion. Manu integrates neuroscience findings to decompose the emotional roller coaster, along which we get the motivation to get mastery of different skills. The most important things we learn in our lives are not the earliest ones. This book is about deep learning. Don't read it if you believe that all that matters is to store knowledge pieces in our brain as we put a book on a shelf and retrieve it later, or rather read it twice. Deep learning is about making meaning. Let me highlight this. Deep learning is about making meaning. Recently, I came across the idea that if one travels at the speed of light, time stops. Brilliant. I understand every word of this sentence. I memorized it easily, but I'm not able to do anything as I don't really get the meaning. Deep learning is about building actionable knowledge. And it takes some failure to feel when and how some knowledge can be activated to tackle a real problem, not simply to answer a quiz. Deep learning is about building actionable knowledge. See the word he uses, not knowledge, but actionable knowledge. And I always say, knowledge in action is learning. Education so often is traded as knowledge, and knowledge is substituted for education. It's not that. It's actionable knowledge, which is learning. 20 years later, Manu is giving keynotes around the world. At the end of his keynote, many pesky students will catch up with him with questions. Years later, one of them may write a book that Manu will preface. This is how the science of learning is moving forward. But this book has not been written for a scientific audience. It speaks to all those who share our goal and vision to make learning and education more effective. And that's why the Learning Forward Foundation. This book is for them, learners, teachers, and policymakers, but also parents, sport coaches, and managers. All of us are learners. What a beautiful introduction to productive failure by Dr. Pierre Dillenburg, Associate Vice President of Education, EPFL, Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. Dr. Manu Kapoor is at the ETH University in Switzerland, and he's currently setting up the ETH Center at Singapore. He's the director of the ETH Center. So let's have a look at the introduction and let's see what the author says himself. So today our day is actually only to celebrate productive failure's opening, the introduction, and to encourage you to invest in this one book for this year that you must get hold of. It will be a book which will change the way you learn and it will make you a better teacher, my promise to you. If you feel you don't become a better teacher after reading this book, I promise you I will pay you for what the price you pay for the book. And I'm giving this promise on record, it will be there on YouTube. Introduction, my forays into failure. All it took was a moment. I was 21. Till then, life was going exactly how I had dreamed of and trained hard for, becoming a professional soccer player. So Brinda mentioned this to us earlier. Then a snap, and I felt my knee give away. A bad tackle during a regular practice session had turned into my worst nightmare. It was a career-ending injury. My orthopedic surgeon assured me that I would walk again, but a professional career was not in the cards anymore. To this day, I am not completely over it. Like paper once crumpled, it cannot be undone. Still functioning, but the scars remain for life. People often ask me how I came up with the idea of productive failure. The notion that we could somehow intentionally design for failure and bootstrap it for deep learning. After all, many people have talked about the value of learning from failure. These accounts, however, are largely reactive. They talk about learning from failure after it happens. The idea of productive failure is to be proactive. That is, if failure is so powerful for learning, then we should not wait for it to happen. We should intentionally design for it for deep learning. I like to believe that I came up with the idea in a moment of brilliance during my doctoral studies at Teachers College, Columbia University in New York City. The truth, however, is that many things in my life led me to it. As Steve Jobs put it, the dots connect looking back. My dots were my failures, big and small, which slowly but surely nudged me toward it. But all of it only became clearer in hindsight. The lived experience was anything but. Soccer dreams. My journey started a long time ago, in my teenage years. I was in the sixth grade, doing stuff teenagers do. Falling in love was perhaps the most significant and consequential. However, unlike the first crush most people have in school, my first love was soccer. As a teenager growing up in India, all I ever wanted to be was a professional soccer player. My father bought us our first color television just in time for the 1986 World Cup in Mexico. Diego Maradona was the man of the moment, and everyone I knew wanted to be like Maradona. I did it, even though I was only in the sixth grade. I went for a high school team trials. In a country where everyone aspires to be the next cricket star, I took to soccer, and quite effortlessly so. And before the end of the academic year, I was the vice captain and playmaker of my high school soccer team. When I look back at my soccer years, a simple philosophy stands out. Training in the northern Indian city of Chandigarh in the foothills of the Himachal mountains, my coach, Mr. Thomas, used to drill into us that matches are often won or lost in the last 5 to 10 minutes of the game. Everyone can play well when they are fresh, he would say. But it is those who can push when extremely exhausted who make the difference in the last passage of play. Therefore, true to that philosophy, he designed our training to focus on preparing us for those game changing moments. How? By taking us to the other side of failure. The idea was to train until you fail, and then you push just a little bit more. Do your push ups and pull ups till your arms buckle, and then push some more. Do your endurance training till your body cannot endure anymore, and then push some more. Of course, all this is done in a way that was safe to avoid injuries. Pushing just beyond the limit was sufficient all the time to take the body to its limit and then push a little bit more. What an interesting paragraph. Some of us who have been to soccer training, some of us who do push ups, some of us who recover from injuries with exercise will correlate very beautifully with this paragraph. So, this is the how, the other side of failure. Now, why? Because good things happen on the other side of failure. This is where players maximize their physical and mental strength and learn how to work the mind and the body together for optimal growth and performance. And our coach was right. When you look at tough games that go right in the end, quite often it is on the other side of failure, where these games are won or lost. Lesson learned. In retrospect, this was the first of the several dots I was to connect on understanding failure. Unfortunately, just as I had made it to the national youth team, my soccer career ended with the injury. It was September of 1995. I remember it vividly. In one moment, everything that I had trained for in my life till then was gone. I was a case study in depression and failure. And effortless and enjoyable as soccer was, everything else after was quite the opposite, effortful and exhausting. Nothing seemed to work or make sense. So, the only thing I could do was to try to push through my backup option, finishing my engineering bachelor's, struggling through my engineering studies. It was not until my final year of engineering school that I started to take my studies seriously. For until then, my life was all about soccer. In the final year of the engineering bachelor's degree, all students had to do a thesis. One could not graduate without completing a thesis, and I was certainly not in the mood for failing a game. I was determined to succeed, but my professor and thesis advisor had other ideas. First, I had to choose a project because, other than soccer, the only other thing I was good at was math. I chose a project that involved a lot of mathematical analysis. My professor gave me a challenge to solve a special case of a differential equation in fluid dynamics. I was happy. It was mathematics and required neither an experimental setup nor building stuff. It was math and me, simple. I tried several methods to solve the problem without making any major inroads. After a couple of months, I saw my professor and showed him all I had done. He was quite pleased, even though I had not been successful. He suggested I try a new approach, explaining the gist of it. I went back to the drawing table, working on it for a month, and still was not able to solve the problem. I could show that the professor's approach could not lead to a solution, but I wasn't able to actually improve upon it to solve the problem. When I saw the professor again, he was once again quite pleased and gave me yet another approach, and again the same result. This went on for 3 to 4 months. I'd follow through on all the approaches and suggestions, show that they couldn't solve the problem, but a solution remained elusive. By the end of summer, I was panicking because I was nowhere near the end of the process and I needed to graduate by the end of the year, or else my scholarship would run out. I met the professor again at the start of the semester, sharing with him my predicament and concerns. He looked at me and said, Manu, all the strategies you have tried, including the ones I suggested, are known not to work. I was angry, but I tried not to show it. Why had he made me go through 8 months of trying things that were known not to work? My professor explained. Now that you've understood what does not work, you understand the problem way better than anyone else. Now I will tell you one strategy. The problem cannot be solved mathematically. It has to be solved computationally. It gives me goosebumps to this day when I think about the meeting. He was indeed right, much as I hated admitting it at that time. I did understand the problem better, and developing a computational solution and running simulations turned out to be straightforward. I did that quickly, and within a couple of months or so, I'd completed the project and was even given the highest distinction for it. This was the second of several dots. Looking back, both my soccer training and final year engineering theses were the first two dots. In both, I was intentionally and repeatedly taken to the other side of failure. If I was paying attention, I would have connected the dots. I did not, or perhaps could not. Far from connecting the dots, I was merely happy just being able to graduate on time. I barely had it through with second class honors, knowing very well that engineering was not what I wanted to do. My heart was simply not in it. I suppose, against the backdrop of a soccer career, it was hard for anything to come close. It was time for trying out some other options, sorry. With some luck, I joined a management consulting firm. But within a few months, even that did not work out and I quit. Dot number three. Then I ventured into a startup world of the late 90s during the dot com boom. This dream too fizzled out when the dot com turned into dot com doom. Dot number four. By now, all my friends were already well into highly successful careers as doctors, lawyers, management consultants, and bankers. All I had to show was a string of failures, dots in a pattern that I had yet to realize, that I had in just about everything I had tried. I was running out of options. And then an opportunity to teach came along. My dear teachers, think about it. Left with no other options at the time and with bills to pay and make ends meet, I was forced into my fourth option, teaching. Very much close to what we read in the last book, how Shomi Das became a teacher and his journey of teaching. Into the classroom. Now we are into the classroom. I'm sure you all will correlate to this. Because I was reasonably good at math, I decided to become a math teacher, teaching the subject to high school kids for 5 years. It started as a 1 year contract position, and I took it to give me some breathing space to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Some of us youngsters start doing this as a career. As it turned out, this singular decision led directly to the discoveries that made my academic career a success and prompted me to write this book. However, these discoveries did not come from my prowess and skill as a teacher. Instead, and as you will see, they are the direct result of my failure to teach mathematics to my students and my wondering why exactly this was so difficult. I actually enjoyed teaching and I still do. This did not mean I was good at it. I merely liked the idea of trying to help someone understand something new. And math, though a logical and well structured domain, is known to be hard to learn and consequently hard to teach. I was up for the challenge. My teaching philosophy was simple. I thought that if I could engage my students, explain the concepts as clearly as possible, then show them step by step exactly what to do and how to do it, I'd achieve transformational results. I spent a lot of effort and time preparing my notes and lectures, thinking about the best ways to explain difficult concepts. However, I quickly discovered that this method did not work well. Even after my preparation and my carefully planned lessons at the end of the class, many of the students still did not fully understand the concepts we had covered. How could these high school kids fail to see what I was trying to show them? How could it be that something I could so clearly explain and draw their attention to was still beyond their grasp? Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again, they say, and I did. I would repeat the lesson, going through the entire process of explaining the concept all over again, only to discover that the problem had persisted. Many students are still unable to see their way to the solution. Maybe some could to a certain extent, but for most of them, a deep understanding of the concepts discussed and the ability to use them again in a difficult context, the holy grail of education remained elusive. It's now 6:15, 45 minutes are up. I will still make the effort to complete this chapter because I thought we should do the introduction in one nugget. Please bear with me. I'll read it at a pace comfortable to everyone and finish the chapter for you. Research on human learning by then had already developed a solid understanding about why we fail to understand when we are taught in this way. I unpacked the major problems of learning in chapter 1, except at the time I did not know about this research. I was at once frustrated and curious why my students could not see what I was trying to show them. As you can imagine, teaching too didn't work out. By now, I was touching 30, massively lost and confused, and having spent my entire 20s trying and failing to figure out what I should do with my life, I decided to focus on my curiosity. And it was perhaps my curiosity, stemming directly from my failure as a teacher, that finally drove me to my fifth choice career in academia, searching for a scientific explanation for why teaching math was so hard and how it could be made easier. My close friends and colleagues often call me a reluctant academic. After all, academia was never in the cards. And when it happened, it was only after several tours and detours as my fifth career choice. Venturing into academia, I enrolled on a doctoral program at Teachers College at Columbia University, majoring in the learning sciences. The science of human learning, how we learn, and how we can design better learning environments. I was immediately drawn to research into how best to teach new concepts. As I poured through scientific journals, I did not at first find the answer, but I started to notice a pattern across the research in my new academic field that echoed my experiences in the classroom. I had an epiphany and I ended up writing a thesis on the science of learning from failure. For a reluctant academic, I must say my years at the Teachers College, Columbia University, were by far intellectually the most humiliating of my life. The formal training was, of course, rigorous and useful, but so was the informal experience beyond the confines of the formal courses, where encounters with diverse ideas challenged my thinking and broadened my perspectives in profound ways. Regardless of whether these instructions were planned or spontaneous, they formed the fertile ground from which new insights emerged and flourished. I claim these insights as my own, but in many ways, they are the product of the collective experience. A big part of this experience was reading and discussing what we read and making sense of it. Thank you, Jugjeev sir, for all the reading you do. My focus was on how we learn new concepts and how best to teach these concepts. Many of these studies I encountered described researchers who went into the classroom to observe how teachers taught their students. Thank you, Brinda, for being there. The teachers are almost always selected carefully. They were not just experts in their domains, but also good at teaching. Thank you, all the teachers who join us to cherish the spirit. The researchers often found their lectures to be well structured, engaging, and clear. Their students usually agreed and reported that they had learned a lot from the experience. And this is what happy teachers are about. Yet, in study after study, when the researchers probed the extent to which students actually understood the concepts covered in the lectures by giving them problem solving tasks based on these concepts, they found that the understanding was largely superficial. Most students did not really understand the material, even though they felt like they did and reported that they had. I bet if you asked my high school math students, they would tell you I was a good teacher. Yet, as a kind judgment as that may be, I would bet doubly that chances are my well structured and well delivered lectures merely give them the illusion of learning without actual deep understanding. Almost everyone who has gone to school is familiar with this method of teaching. The teacher first teaches, then we practice, and in, week out, we learn new things and in a largely predictable manner. This is direct instruction model and standard approach for decades. And both the articles I had been reading and my experience suggested that it was not effective, even if applied by excellent lecturers. The problem was not that we learned poorly from bad lectures, rather, that we learned poorly from excellent ones. Not learning well from bad lectures is understandable and explainable. Not learning well from good lectures is perplexing, even shocking. One can think of several reasons why. Maybe the material was not pitched at the right level. Maybe students need to be supported better. Maybe students were only partially engaged with the material. Maybe more interactive learning was needed, and so on. And there are lots of studies in the literature that explores these explanations. No doubt, these additional measures sometimes lead to incremental improvements that do not solve the problem of bad learning from good teaching. To solve the problem, we need to know the cause. We will pause here at the cause. I will add a bookmark here. We made a good effort. We read. Well, that's productive failure. I don't think we can complete the chapter. So, Manisha Khanna, will you please record the bookmark? I will try and keep it here. That's the bookmark for today. We will join you again next Saturday. Next Saturday, we will meet and we will continue the story of productive failure. There's a lot of new audience for us at the My Good School retreat. And I'm sure some of them will become readers and join us next week. That's my hope. And we hope You continue to read the book even beyond where we have paused. And yes, if you want to say something, the chat box is there. That's the best way in a webinar we can communicate. I will pause here for a moment. Yes, I have a few likes in the chat box. If you want to leave a message which you would like me to record, please put in the chat box. And before we go off, we bid farewell to all our people at the My Good School retreat, and also would like you to invite all of you to our next retreat. It's going to happen 13th November to 16th of November 2025. Same place, maybe the same time at 5:30 p.m. We would be reading Productive Failure if we have failed in finishing it. Sir, can you please tell us about our assignment? Hello, there's no assignment. That's productive failure. No class should ever end up in an assignment. That's my little suggestion to all of you. There's nothing known as an assignment. Well, the answer is make your assignment and answer it. That's known as reflection. Failures give us a reason to move forward. Thank you, Rajni. I definitely find that the best, because if you see in this chapter, there is reason in all the 5 dots Dr. Manu Kapoor has given us. Aishwarya Tripathi, regarding assignment, I suggest you send a direct message to Manisha Khanna, who is very much here. Manisha, can you put your hand up in the screen? Yeah, that's Manisha. Manisha, stand up so that teachers can see you. Otherwise, they don't get to see you. So that's Manisha. Give her a big hand. Without her, our GSA ambassador, we wouldn't be where we are today. So just pop in a message to Manisha, Aishwarya. Manisha will tell you. But I'll tell you something very simple at that. What we have done today, we will post on happyteacher.in. There is a blog where we post. So what we will do, there is no assignment per se today. It is the first lesson. So what we will do is we will go to happyteacher.in. You will see on the screen. And an article will open up here. This is the last post of 11th of April. So if you don't feel like asking us for an assignment, then why don't you share your thoughts as a comment? We will post a little bit about today's session here shortly, where this video will be shared, and I will write something. So if you really want a structure to your thought as an assignment, well, please comment below that. That's all I would like to say. We are not going to give you questions. We are not going to probe you. We are just going to put here what we did. And if what we have done today arouses thought in you, that for us is a learning. Our productive failure is we can't give you questions. And I'm sure you will convert that into questions and answers for yourself. Amit has something to write here. Fine, sir. Okay. Any questions from the audience at the My Good School retreat? Avinash, sir, would you like to say, we really value you very deeply. I know you're getting irritated by me shouting you out because I can't help it. You're sitting in the first bench. Over to you, Avinash. Avinash, would you like to get the mic in your hand? That'll help. Yeah, that's the...
So I would give the mic to these children and ask, whatever. Ask them what they want to do, Sandeep. What do you want to do? Tell him. Come on, raise your hand and say what do you want to do.
Yeah, Avinash, they have good school tomorrow. It's your productive failure. If your productive failure, if you pass the mic off. They have good school tomorrow. They can come up and say what they want. Otherwise, I think it's your productive failure we would like to learn from.
I think after they play, we'll talk about productive failure on the game field. That will be a good perspective. That will be a good one. Thanks, Sandeep. This is lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the evening. Thank you all for being there and go for the game. I'm glad the students were here. I'm grateful to them. Thank you, Kunal. Thank you for the backbenchers and the front row audience. May you enjoy the evening. Anyone in the audience wants to ask a question? There are about 40 odd people as attendees. You can raise your hand and talk to me. Anyone can raise a hand. I'll happily give you the mic like I did to the stage there. Anyone? Just a moment. I will wait 10 seconds. If you can put your hand up, I'll be happy to talk to you. Aishwarya, thanks for that thoughtful comment. I'm glad we all enjoyed every bit of it. Yes, this is also the Sunbeam Masterclass. So what we call Saturday Masterclass is for you, it's the Sunbeam Masterclass. And my big thank you to every teacher from Sunbeam. Jai Hind. That's how I would like to end today's section. Bye-bye. The video will come up soon on YouTube. If some teachers have missed it, it's not productive failure on their part, but it's productive failure on our part if we don't get across the content to them. We are committed to ensure that every teacher experiences the joy of learning. And we want to overcome that productive failure by sharing this joy with everyone. Bye bye. See you next Saturday. And it won't be 10 extra minutes next Saturday because today we gave some time to the people at the retreat. So that is why we spilled over by 10 minutes. Thank you for your patience. God bless you. We love you for being teachers. May you keep teaching with more vigor, with more zeal, and with more joy of learning. Bye bye.